Welcome to Envisioned Broadcasting. Envisioned Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success. An affiliate of Direct Impact Broadcasting and Creative Broadcasting, presenting the Empower Hour with Jaresha, a show that shares the stories behind the journeys of leaders, influencers, and motivators. The Empower Hour with Jaresha begins now.
Welcome. I am your host, Jaresha Moore. A little bit about myself. I am a best-selling author with over 18 years of combined experience in education, finance, healthcare, business management, and development. Owner and founder of Empower on Purpose, LLC, certified coach, speaker, and trainer with the John Maxwell team, and owner of Envisioned Broadcasting radio station. Before I introduce my amazing guest free workshop being offered by Empower on Purpose called the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. This 5-week workshop is free, and it will be held at Dayton Montgomery County Library on June 2nd at 2 p.m. If you're looking for help with achieving your personal or professional goals, you don't want to miss it. To register, please visit the Empower on Purpose Facebook or Eventbrite page. Also, I want to say a special thank you to Jason Hale with Life Builders and the Tri-County Youth and Family Center in Fairborn. The Youth Empowerment Day this past Saturday was an absolute success. It was a great opportunity for the youth to learn, lead, and laugh. So this week's empowerment quote is, "Leaders become great, not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others." And that's by John Maxwell. So today my special guest is recorder Brandon McClaine. A little bit about Brandon. Brandon C. McClaine was born and raised in North Carolina, but considers Dayton, Ohio to be his home. He graduated cum laude from the University of North Carolina at Pembroke, North Carolina, with a Bachelor of Arts in Criminal Justice, the University of Cincinnati with the Master's of Science in Criminal Justice, and the University of Dayton College of Law with a Juris Doctor. Mr. McClaine is also a veteran, having served as a non-commissioned officer in the Army National Guard, achieving the rank of sergeant prior to his honorable discharge. Mr. McClaine was admitted to the practice of law in the state of Ohio 2011, as well as the United States District Court for the Southern District of Ohio 2011, and the United States Tax Court 2012. His professional affiliations include him being a member of the Ohio Recorders Association, the Ohio Bar Association, the Ohio Magistrates Association, and chairman of the Dayton Bar Association's Diversity Issues Subcommittee. His related awards and professional distinctions include but are not limited to the Leadership Development Class, Dayton Bar Association 2014, Man of Influence, Dayton Weekly News 2016, Rising Star, the Dayton Bar's Brief 2017, the Joseph Sink Award, the Black Law Students Association of the University of Dayton School of Law 2018, Top 10 African American Male Honoree Parity Inc. 2019, the Public Service Award presented by the Tribute to African American Committee, Inc., and the 40 Under 40 Award, Dayton Business Journal 2019. Mr. McClaine's legal experience varies from being an acting judge and magistrate in the Dayton Municipal Court to being an assistant public defender in the Montgomery County Public Defender's Office. He was also a principal attorney in McClain Anastasia, LLC, and intern at the Cincinnati Prosecutor's Office. Recently, Mr. McClaine was elected by the Montgomery County Recorder after being appointed in March 2018 following the passing of Willis Blackshear Sr. Since assuming office, Recorder McClaine has introduced and implemented 2 programs of note: the Veterans Identification Card Program, which connects our community's veterans to benefits they earned, and the Fraud Alert Notification System, which combats property fraud. Additionally, he serves on the Dayton Public Schools Operational Advisory Committee, the Board of Trustees for the Dayton Bar Association, the Mary Scott Nursing Center Board of Directors, the Sinclair Community College Paralegal Program Advisory Committee, and is a mentor to students throughout Montgomery County. Recorder McClaine is also a member of the St. Luke's Missionary Baptist Church. Welcome, Recorder Brandon McClaine. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show today. How are you?
I'm doing well, and it's truly my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I just shared your amazing bio But could you please share with the listeners a little bit more about your journey and background and how you came to do all of the amazing and impressive things that I just mentioned?
Wow, I'll do my best I can to answer that question. But, when I really look back and reflect over my life, I mean, it's really a loaded question.
Yes.
I can tell you this. I'm a man of faith. I believe in ordered steps. I don't believe that everything is based upon fate. I believe you create your own destiny, and you all have to operate as far as living in God's purpose. So I think that God guides us and open doors for us to be exactly where we're supposed to be. There's this quote that I really think kind of sums it up, and I was talking to some youth today and reflecting about what I was going to say during this interview, and this quote really just continued to pop up in my mind, and that being the fact the two most important days of an individual's life are the day they are born and the day they find out why. So everybody has a different birthday. Everybody has a different birthday, but what connects us together is the journey that we take, which is our lives, that shows us our actual purpose while we are here on this earth. When I look back over my life and the different roles and positions that I've been blessed to hold, public service pops out. And it's the common theme throughout my life. It's the common theme throughout my journey. It's the common theme throughout my childhood. When I was a child, my mother, who passed away back in 2007 due to lung cancer, she would take care of a lot of these sick and shut-in people in my neighborhood. She would cook meals for them. She would go and visit and check in on them. She would run errands for them and never asked nor accepted a dime in return. And one day when here I am, I'm a child, and I'm seeing my mother, rip and run for people. Sometimes she barely even knew them. And I asked, I said, why are you doing this? And she said, because it's the right thing to do. Absolutely. That's all she knew, was how to be a servant to others. And so at a very young age, I learned really the meaning of what it means to be a selfless servant. And that is a theme that I've kind of clung on to throughout my life. I entered into the military. I was 17 years old, and went to the military when our nation was actively, at a time of war. And when I look back on, what motivated me, what kept me, what really, in turn put me in a position or direction to make that decision, it was because I felt like it was the right thing to do. I wanted to become an attorney after I seen Johnny Cochran and how smooth and clean he looked, in the way that it seemed like his words danced, through the air, and people just hung on to them. During that trial of the century, as they call it, when he was representing OJ. When I watched Johnny Cochran Jr. As a child, that's when I made the decision that I wanted to get involved in the practice of law. And, from that, as an attorney, I tried to use that platform to help people who need it the most, who were the least of these, if you will. People who, a lot of times when I would encounter them, would be at their most vulnerable point. When I was blessed to become a member of the judiciary, I would often encounter these people in a different role, people who were, a lot of times, having the most difficult and challenging point in their whole life. And they were looking for me. They were looking for the court to offer a remedy that would save their life or give them some type of peace of mind. And even in my current position, it's really no different. A lot of times when I encounter people in the community, I encounter them because they're in a position where they need help. They need someone to do something. They need a regular person to do something extraordinary to fix their life. And so that's something that I carry with me every day, and quite frankly, consider it to be a great honor to do so.
Absolutely. I think that is absolutely, that's awesome. So if you could give one piece of advice to, perhaps like an emerging leader or someone, maybe a youth that's, possibly looking to be an attorney or go down that same path, what would that be?
Hard work is the great equalizer. I cannot stress that enough. I think so many times in life we sell ourselves short. We believe that we're not good enough, that we're not fit for duty, so to speak. And I think that a lot of times, because we undermine ourselves, we really devalue the worth of the talents and gifts that God has given us to work with. Everyone has certain things that they are just better than. We'll call it aptitude. Different people have different aptitudes. We can't control that because that's a gift that they were given. But what we can control is how hard we work. So we always have to remember that hard work is the great equalizer, time and time again. We see it all the time in sports. What do they call it in sports during March Madness? Upsets.
Yes, absolutely.
There are upsets all through life. It's just not in sports. You know, there are times when we see David beat Goliath in life, in real life situations, you know, and that happens because hard work is exerted. People work to the point of exhaustion to chase and to capture their dreams. And so I would just encourage any and all emerging leaders to really not devalue the overall benefit of hard work and what hard work can accomplish. You know, what hard work, the doors that it can open, you know, through hard work in your service, people really can see who you are and what you stand for. Talent doesn't show that, hard work does.
Absolutely. I have to agree with you 100%. That is such great advice, you know, not just for the emerging leaders, but for all of us, you know, to practice in our everyday lives. You know, like you mentioned, hard work and service will open those doors. So Brandon, I think that we all are really clear as far as when it comes down to, you know, being a leader and influencer and a motivator as well, that there are always wins and successes. But with those wins, we often face challenges and hurdles. Could you share maybe just one of the hurdles that you have faced and then how you truly overcame it?
I think that a continuing challenge that should exist to any public servant, anyone who serves the public, is how to address the issues with solutions that are facing everyday people. They say that public service is a calling. I believe that to be true, and I can tell you that I know that being a public servant is a blessing. And so with these blessings that you receive, being a public servant, that means that you have not only the blessing, but also the burden of being tasked with caring other people's issues, their concerns, some of the pitfalls that they may have, because you're built for it. And so I think that with that challenge, that daily challenge that exists for every public servant, the best way that I found to combat it every day and to overcome it is to essentially ensure that you are servicing people, not just in word, but in deed. You have to go where the issues are. You have a lot of people who talk about solutions, but they don't implement them. It's just words. And so, to me, what I've been able to find is that to properly address the issues that are facing our community, that are facing everyday, regular people, you have to be with them. The issues that I can tell you, when I was with the court, the issues that people had, they existed well before they made it to the courtroom. They did. And it's the same thing. I'm in the county administration building. The issues that our community and that the citizens face start well before they walk into the county administration building. So for us to be able to rectify and to address them for a long-standing way, we have to be willing to go into the communities and onto the doorsteps of the people who are having issues. That means communicating, that means outreach, that means discussion, that means transparency, that means connectivity. You know, I don't believe that you can address issues and concerns of people that you don't know. I believe as a public servant that if we can't have a conversation, you know, your full range scale of faith in me should be minimal because you don't know me. So you know, to summarize it, I believe that the issues That being the fact, the ones that affect the community, while there's no cookie cutter answer for it, I believe that it starts with being with the people who are having the issues, living their life, seeing their experiences firsthand.
Absolutely. I have to agree with you, absolutely. I know that there's been a lot of things that's been affecting the Dayton community, and, firsthand with, having had an opportunity to actually go out into the community with a couple of organizations. It's nothing like being able to connect, because there are certain issues that's out in the community, and, a lot of the issues that are going on, people are upset and they're frustrated. And so it's really, at the end of the day, they're wanting someone to be able to hear their voice, So I absolutely agree with you 100% on that. So when you think of, Brandon, you are absolutely out in the community. You are involved and you support so many programs in the community. You help us to support so many worthy causes, businesses, organizations, as well as the youth in the community. Could you share more of the work that you're doing to encourage, equip, and empower our youth to rise above life's obstacles and live their dreams?
To me, it's just humbling to really sit down and have a conversation and see the energy and the passion and the excitement about the unknown that our youth have. And to me, what that means, what I believe our jobs have to be as not just adults, but as mentors, as gatekeepers, essentially, is to allow our life, to allow our successes, to allow our failures, to allow the good, the bad, and everything in between about who we are, to serve as a roadmap to those youth. So when I go and I speak to youth, earlier, I was over at Westminster Presbyterian talking to a group of youth who are preparing for graduation. And I told a series of stories, we'll call them snapshots, out of my life. And I broke it down into 3 different times. One being a time where I felt I had to really persevere. Another time where I felt that, I had to remind myself that we are always accountable to the people who sacrificed and gave for us to have the opportunities that we enjoy today. And that we always have to be respectful of the differing perspectives that someone may have on how to live life. So I think that, if we can continue to have these discussions with our youth and continue to be open and transparent about our own lives, don't add on, don't add on, to what happened. Be honest about what happened. Talk to them about how you felt, if you felt like you did a good job, if you felt you did a bad job, if you felt you could have done a better job. Those are things that I think our youth can learn from. And they can learn from these, the good and the bad. They can learn from these stories, because what we're doing is that we're allowing our life to serve as a living example, a living lesson to them.
Absolutely. Yes. I think that, you really hit on touched on a really great point, because, with the youth, they're not looking for us to sugarcoat, anything. As you said, the snapshots, give snapshots, or, give our own experiences and how we handle things, with certain different topics that may come up. So, you are truly a great role model for our youth to look up to and to aspire to be like one day. Oftentimes, and you've pretty much mentioned it as already as far as mentor, I know that the youth and emerging leaders see you as not just a role model, but as a mentor. And it's extremely important for you, you as well as others who lead, motivate, and influence others to have their own mentors. Can you share a little bit with the listeners on how important it is, or how important it's been for you having a mentor or mentors in your own life?
I think that a lot of times in life, when we are trying to figure out where to go, how to get there, we often look for a roadmap. We look for directions. And at times it's difficult, it's challenging to find people who are willing and able to share their stories with you about, how their journey turned out and what could possibly make your journey easier. I've been blessed and fortunate, I think, to really be accepted and embraced in our community. I often joke around with my friends and I tell them, I say, hey, I'm a son of the city, and I really mean that wholeheartedly, for a lot of folks, in Montgomery County, I may represent, their father or a brother or their son or their uncle, or a cousin. I represent, some male that may be with them presently or may have came before. And that means a lot to me because, that means that, there's connectivity. There's, there's a flow. So, as a mentor, that relationship, the mentor-mentee relationship for my development, I think has really been key. Willis Blackshear Sr. was a great mentor to me. Judge Carl Henderson, was a great mentor to me. Accepting me in and taking me on the wing to make sure that I knew things that were key and vital to continue to be productive, to be able to be, productive. There have been so many others. I can't even pretend to name all of them because there have been so many people. I tell folks all the time, I say, listen, I'm a community project. And I think that's how we should all, live our life. We should be community-based. People often, they ask me, they say, why do you go, and do all of this stuff in the community? They're like, you act like you still running for office. Why are you always out there? And I tell them, I say, I'm out there because that's where the people need me to be.
That's right.
We have to, if you're really going to, be out there, if you're really going to try to help people, you got to know them. You got to see these issues with your own eyes so you can know best how to address them. And being a mentor is no different. If you're going to honestly make an impact on a child's life, that doesn't happen by you speaking to them one time a year. You got to be visible. You got to be visible. They got to know you. I go down to Bellhaven Elementary every couple weeks and, sit down and have lunch, talk with the guys, and we just talk. We just talk. They got a group of great mentors down there called Boys to Men. They do great work for those kids down there. And, I'm blessed and humbled every time, I'm able to come down there with them and just talk to the kids because it's important. It's important that our kids know that we care about them. It's important that they look at us and realize that, we used to be them and one day they could be us. Yeah. That's important. That's important. So the value of a mentor-mentee relationship, a meaningful mentor-mentee relationship, is priceless. It's priceless. Yeah. You're talking about, the kids not only representing the future, the youth represent the present right now. These kids deserve a seat at the table right now.
Yeah. And
we have to make sure we make room for them. They're growing up fast. They have opinions. They have desires. They have questions. They have, quite frankly, strong and valuable input that we should at least listen to and consider because they're living in this world the same as we are. So the value of a mentor-mentee relationship, you can't put a price tag on it because it's the difference between a child recognizing who they could be versus knowing what they can be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is so important. It's so important. Thinking of just with my own business and being a mentor and coach for so many people, not just youth, but some of the young adults. And as you mentioned, they're looking for someone to listen to them. They have some very strong opinions and they want to be heard. But at the same time, they need to have those people that are willing to listen and willing to volunteer their time, such as, yourself going to the different schools and, taking that time out to sit down and have those conversations with those children. It's extremely important. So it is so important as a leader to give back and get involved in the community as well. I can tell you that there has probably not been a day that has gone by where I don't see a social media post that shows how actively involved you are in the community. And I truly, you're truly on a mission to make a difference in other people's lives. So I know that you are diligently running a fundraiser campaign for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society for the Man and Woman of the Year. Can you share more information about this campaign and what inspired you to be a part of it?
Yeah, this is a campaign that, I had decided to join on because, to me, there's no more noble and worthy cause than to raise money for cancer research. Cancer has been something that has devastated my family. I lost my mother back in 2007 to lung cancer. I lost my uncle in 2014, who's a Vietnam vet, to cancer. He was involved in Agent Orange in Vietnam. And, also, I lost my grandfather to cancer. So cancer has been something that has left a fingerprint on my family. And so when I was approached about, the possibility of running a campaign in support of raising money for cancer research, it was something that, I didn't have to ponder on it long. It gave not just me, but my family an opportunity to have a voice, to be able to strike a blow on behalf of our on behalf of our family against cancer. It gave us an opportunity to be able to release a lot of negativity that was associated with the loss of my mother, of my grandfather, of my uncle. And that was important. We actually are approaching the deadline, the grand finale, which would be Saturday. I believe that's May the 11th. We are still taking donations. We are still collecting money on behalf of cancer research. Donations can be made at www.cancercrushLLS.com. We are trying to raise as much money as we can so that we can not only fight cancer, but so we can cure cancer, so we can stop cancer. It's just something that I think that if you look around in your circle, no matter how small or how big, cancer is something that has impacted each and every person on this world, either directly or indirectly. And until we get to the point where cancer is eradicated, we need to continue to fight it. I'm a firm believer in philanthropy. I'm a firm believer that we have to make sure that we stand up and fight diseases that have harmed and taken lives. But I don't think we have a bigger enemy concerning the human race than cancer. I don't. Absolutely. Cancer is that type of monster. And so we have to unify and come together to fight it off so that eventually we can defeat it.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Cancer has impacted and affected so many of us. We all can say that we have a loved one, that has been affected in some kind of way. Could you share again how they can give and support the campaign? You mentioned a website.
Yeah. Yes. Anyone who wants to donate for us for the LLS cancer research, they can donate at www.cancercrushLLS.com. And there's a donation link, and in addition, if they want to attend the grand finale event, which will be this Saturday, they can purchase tickets there as well. Every donation, no matter how big or how small, they all count. They all are useful. They all are impactful because at the end of the day, we don't know which cent, which dollar can be vital in helping us beat and defeat cancer forever. And so because of that, to me, if someone is able and willing to make a donation and wanting to help, whatever they can give is help enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that again. So today's empowerment quote was actually the leaders become great not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others by John Maxwell. Can you share with the listeners any insight, tips that could possibly align with this quote that could help empower them?
Yes. routinely, I'm often in conversations, and I'll have different people, either, active leaders, aspiring leaders, and they'll ask me, they'll say, hey, how do I get, in front of the leaders of this community, or how do I get a hold of this official? And my answer is always the same to either question, that being the fact that if you really want to make a change, you have to be where the people are.
Yeah.
Because where the people are, that's where the problems are. The problems don't, exist, in City Hall. They don't exist at the courthouse. They don't exist at, these institutional structures. But the issues, the problems, the concerns, they exist with the people who have them. And so for us to be able to rally against issues and concerns in our community and be able to properly meet them head on with a solution, we have to empower the people who are having the issues. That means supporting initiatives, supporting people, supporting programs that support the community. They're all tied together. They're all tied together. People talk about words, but they need to talk about the voice. They need to talk about the voice that the words are carrying. Why? Because that's why two people can say the same thing and we hear it different. Very little about the words. It's about the message, the way it's conveyed. That's all in the voice. And so when we talk about, that quote, what it means to me, and the tip that it really leads me to, is the fact that we have to make sure that for us to address issues, first, we have to identify them. We can't identify them if we haven't empowered the people who are having them to come forward and voice them. Right? People have to be accepted. People have to be accepted. They have to feel supported. They have to feel protected. Okay? Not attacked. And so when people have issues, it's that old adage, I'm my neighbor is me. The wind blows either way. That's why it's so important when we see somebody who is, littering on the street, that we don't say, oh, well, I live 3 streets over. Not my problem. It could be. The wind blows hard enough, it will be your problem. It'll end up in your yard. And that's how life is. We have to be prepared to empower each other and to fight for our fellow human beings' causes as if they are our own. Because what affects one affects all.
Absolutely. We have to empower each other.
Absolutely. We have to be prepared to take a stand when necessary on each other's behalf, because what your issue is today can be mine tomorrow. That's why it's so important that you do what's right from the jump. Because you thinking that, oh, I don't have to fight this issue today because it doesn't affect me. A lot of times things take some time to gain momentum. But boy, when they gain momentum, watch out. You don't know how much momentum an issue has when it meets you, and you don't really want to know, especially if you could have stopped it early in the line.
Absolutely. So I would like to ask you if there is anything that I didn't ask you so far that you may want to share with the listeners. I know that there's some projects that you have been working on as a recorder for Montgomery County that you may have just implemented.
Yes. I think I shared it maybe a little bit earlier. I'm a veteran. I'm also an attorney by trade, former judicial official, now as a county official. I consider myself to be, someone who, quite frankly, looks at situations in a way of how can we make this better? How can we improve it? How can we protect what we have, but then still move forward and progress in a way so that we can get what's due? Okay. I remember as an attorney, when I first started, I would, on occasion, have the unfortunate circumstance to represent members of our community, our neighbors, who had been defrauded and actually had their homes taken from them. I don't mean someone actually, came up and hooked up a hatch and drove their house away. But what I mean is that that person was defrauded in a manner that allowed someone else to intervene and act as if they were the true owner of that property. So essentially, you have someone who was not the owner of a property, but would then try to sell the property, rent the property out. People would drive home and actually have for sale signs in their yard.
Wow.
That's how serious this unfortunate circumstance had became. When I became a member of the court, I would have people who entered into my courtroom. At the time, I was presiding over landlord-tenant real estate cases, eviction matters. I would have landlords who would come into my courtroom. They would pay the money for the filing costs, the court fees, the attorney fees. They would go through litigation only to be told that they weren't the true owner. Why would someone do all of that if they weren't the true owner? And I think the common sense response is that they wouldn't. That person expended their resources, their money, their time, their effort, because they were the true owner. But the documentation did not show it. So when I became the Montgomery County Recorder, I implemented a program to make sure that we protected property owners. We protected people's real estate, and we ensured that we combated property deed fraud, which to me was an issue that was gaining momentum and could have easily turned into a problem. So I implemented this system. It's free. It doesn't cost any of your taxpayer dollars. You can enroll for free and register. Information about that program on my website, www.mcrecorder.org. The system is called the Fraud Alert Notification System. The way it works is that it gives you notification anytime there's a transaction that relates to the ownership of your home. So if someone tried to file a lien on your property, you receive notice. If someone attempted to try to transfer your deed, you receive notice. And some of the listeners may be asking, well, what is the importance of that? Statistically, when you look at fraudulent activity, time is either the best friend or your worst enemy. Okay, so with time, you can actually assist law enforcement. You can actually assist yourself in being able to protect yourself, guard yourself against additional fraudulent activity. So you want to make sure that you utilize the best weapon that you have at that time, and that is time. Okay, we've had good success with that. I'm very proud of that work. We've received acclaim all throughout this state for that program. We are constantly looking for additional ways that we can improve and offer more safety features to our citizens, to the residents of Montgomery County, and I'll continue to do those things. That was the first initiative that I implemented, I think, the first 60 days I was in office. That's one. To date, we have several thousand registrants throughout Montgomery County. It's actually something I received permission from the tax commissioner in the state of Ohio to actually put an insert in your tax bills about. So that's something, again, like I said, information can be found at my website, www.mcrecorder.org. Or if you have any questions and you'd like to talk about them via phone, you can contact my office at 937-225-4275. Second program that I implemented is one that I hold near and dear to my heart. I'm a veteran. I know that if you sit back and reflect for a moment, if you aren't personally a veteran, you know someone who is. Military service is something that ties us all together, particularly in this region of the country. Military service is something that interconnects us. And so I remember from not only my personal experiences in the service, but as an attorney, I was blessed with the opportunity to be an attorney with the Veterans Treatment Docket. And through my service on that court docket, what I realized very fast was that, you know, a lot of our veterans, they would have the regalia, they would have the jacket, and they would have the stories. What they would not have was their DD-214. And for a military personnel, for a soldier who is retired, for a soldier who has been honorably discharged, that is essentially the key to benefits. That DD-214 can open up doors concerning health benefits, school benefits, store discounts, loan benefits. That is essentially the key, the mecca of benefits to military personnel. It also can be used for the military burial, which is something that the veteran earns through their service to this great nation. And so what we were seeing was that at times you would have veterans who could not locate their DD-214. And a lot of times, unfortunately, what we would see is that with some of these veterans who were living in distressed situations, whether it's because they were homeless or whether it's because they were trying to transition to a more stable point of their life, they would have other concerns as opposed to keeping up with their DD-214. They would be worried about, where their next meal was going to come from or where they were going to sleep at night. So when you have those type of concerns, we'll call them survival concerns. You worrying about where your DD-214 located is not at the top of your priority list. And so what we would see is that a lot of these veterans were not receiving benefits that they had earned because they couldn't prove their service to this country. And so it's frightening. We even had some cases where you have veterans who passed away that if their DD-214 could not be retrieved in time and their service be verified, they would not receive a proper military burial.
Wow.
So it's, yes. And so I implemented the Veteran Identification Card program in September of last year to ensure that our veterans were connected to the benefits that they earned. Through that program, we've connected our veterans to approximately 450 different businesses throughout Montgomery County that offer our veterans a benefit, a discount, or a value. So that ensures that not only are we supporting businesses that support our veterans, but we've had the opportunity to support veteran-owned, veteran-supportive businesses. We also are having the unique opportunity to keep revenue dollars in our community so we can utilize it here. I love Toledo, I love Cleveland, I love Columbus, but when you spend your money in those places, the revolutions on the dollar do not make it back here. Unlikely. And so it also can be used to stimulate the economy. So I'm very proud of that program because it ensures that our veterans, people who were prepared to give everything and not ask for anything in return, receive, a token of generosity from us to them. We are talking about, people, our veterans, who were prepared and did serve us faithfully. So it's only right that we serve them with the same faithfulness that they served us with. That's what this program is about. So I rolled this program out in September of last year. We've we've issued nearly 2,000 veteran ID cards. And in the last 2 days, I recently announced that we are actually going to start doing off-site recording. Became the third county in the state of Ohio to offer that feature, and I believe only the second active county to do it. This will allow us to be able to better serve our veterans who are immobile or disabled. I'm very proud of that work, and we're going to continue to work hard for our veterans as well.
Absolutely. And let me just say that, we definitely thank you for your service as well. Amazing. Both of the programs sound absolutely amazing, and it's clearly what, our veterans need, what our communities need as well. I want to just say I really thank you so much for sharing, some amazing tips, your amazing story. You are truly touching and impacting the community, the people in the community's lives so much. I would love for you to share with the listeners what is actually coming up on the horizon for you.
I'm going to keep serving. I'm going to keep serving the people of Montgomery County. I've told people time and time again, tell them two things. I said, I'm not going anywhere and I'm not going to change. We have good work, good people right here, things that need to be done. I'm going to do my best to make sure that they are done. I'm going to continue to serve the people who have needs that have to be addressed. We've done some good work thus far, and there are other things that would be implemented and done as well. I'm one of those people that I wouldn't call myself a visionary, but I do consider myself to be a thinker. And I try to stay amongst the people because the people will tell you what is and what is not. And so when there are real legitimate issues and needs, the people, they tell me about it. I like to have real honest conversations with folks because that's the only way that we can get better. That's the only way we can get better. And so I'm always trying to get this office better. I'm always trying to make sure that I become better as a public servant. And so what's next for me on the horizon is for me to continue to serve the people who are having my back.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing story, your journey. And thank you for being out in the community and continue to serve, our community, because it's definitely a huge need. I know you've mentioned before, you've given a couple of websites as far as how the listeners can stay connected with you. If you can give that again, how they can stay connected and support your efforts.
Yes, for the support of the LLS campaign, you can make a donation at www.cancercrushLLS.com. If you want to keep up, we have a monthly newsletter that the office generates that kind of keeps the public in the loop about, what our office is doing, what I'm doing in the community and those things. You can find information about the two initiatives and programs that I just discussed, in addition to different services and events that are upcoming at my office website, which is www.mcrecorder.org. Also, I am on, I believe at least, all social media platforms. On Facebook, you can search me as Brandon McClaine. I also have a public official page, which is Montgomery County Recorder Brandon McClaine. And then you can find me on LinkedIn at the same, Brandon McClaine. On Twitter and Instagram, it is at Recorder McClaine.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. It has truly been an honor and a pleasure to have you as a guest on the show. Thank you so much, Recorder McClaine, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to give me an opportunity to interview you today. And I just want to say again, thank you. And we definitely thank you for your service. I wish you much success and blessings as you continue on your journey.
And thank you so much.
Listeners, thank you for tuning in tonight. Thank you for tuning in to tonight's show with special guest Recorder Brandon McClaine. Recorder McClaine shared some awesome insights. He told us how, we have to continue to work hard. Hard work will open doors. And truly, public service is a calling. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, starting your own radio show, or low-costing advertising, highlighting your book, business, or events, please email envisionedb@empoweronpurpose.com. Please tune in next week where you will hear an amazing story and journey from another leader, influencer, and motivator. Until next time, be blessed.
Thank you for listening to the Empower Hour with Jaresha, where Jaresha speaks with leaders, influencers, and motivators who share their journeys in personal and professional growth, empowerment tips, lessons learned, and keys of success that will empower you to be your best self. Follow Jaresha on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jaresha Moore, and visit empoweronpurpose.com. And remember to be intentional and be empowered, and have a great day on purpose.